This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
It is the start of what is likely to be a steamy and stormy weekend in central Indiana. Thanks for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starr. Tina, let's get right to Kevin for the weekend outlook. Kevin.
And we start with the steamy number of 90. That was our high temperature today. We're not stormy in central Indiana. That's our view, and maybe your view out the window now. 87 in Indianapolis, 89 in Muncie. Other temperatures middle to upper 80s with the sky-high humidity. We don't have thunderstorms now in central Indiana. They sit in northern portions of Illinois, but notice how these are moving straight to the east. We'll need to look down here for storms that we may inherit overnight into tomorrow morning. We'll do that coming up and have the long-range forecast as well.
A Madison County court employee is in trouble tonight for an alleged use of a racial slur toward a deputy prosecutor. And a judge is also facing criticism for his handling of this controversy. Only on RTV6, our Rafael Sanchez has the story.
A court employee in the town of Edgewood is drawing criticism from the Madison County prosecutor for allegedly making a vulgar and racially insensitive comment towards a Madison County deputy prosecutor who happens to be black. The employee allegedly called the deputy prosecutor an effing N being the racially charged word. Prosecutor Cummings says he reached out to the employee's boss, Judge Scott Norick, who runs the town court in Edgewood, asking him to address the matter. Cummings says his request was met with inaction. So in response, he's moving forward by filing all traffic cases and misdemeanor cases away from the Edgewood town court and moving all of those cases to other courts in Madison County, like in Anderson, Elwood, and Pendleton. Rafael Sanchez, RTV6.
Rafael also spoke to Judge Norick, who was accused of not taking action against the court employee. Norick says any suggestion that he is not looking into this is, quote, ridiculous and preposterous. Rafael also found out that the deputy prosecutor who was the target of the alleged slur is Rosemary Corey. She was recently named the special prosecutor in the police shooting death of Dre'Jon Reed here in Marion County. We did receive a statement from the deputy prosecutor. She says, quote, I was very shocked and hurt by the racial slur and the ease in which it was said, but heartened that my coworker spoke up. This shows great courage on her part because she didn't have to. She could have kept quiet. I applaud her. My message to others is to have the courage to speak up in the face of potential criticism and pushback like my coworker did.
A Kokomo woman is taking legal action after she says she was sexually assaulted by corrections officers at the Howard County Jail. In February, Shayna Turner was an inmate at the Howard County Jail, and she says she was sexually assaulted on 2 occasions by 2 different corrections officers. Shayna and her attorney have filed a tort claim against the Howard County Sheriff's Office and jail, putting them on notice of their intent to sue for negligence.
I just don't feel like it's right what they did, and I'm sure this happens at plenty of jails, and a lot of people don't say anything, probably because they look at it as, you know, oh, well, I'm the inmate and they're the correctional officer. They're not going to believe me.
Now, Shayna reported the allegations to the sheriff's office shortly after. In early March, the sheriff announced 6 employees were terminated at the jail following an internal investigation into allegations of improper activity with inmates that violated department policies. 2 incidents were referred to the prosecutor's office, but no charges were filed. Shayna's attorney says at least one of the officers who touched Shayna was among the 6 fired. Sheriff Jerry Asher had no comment about Shayna's claims.
Now to the latest on the toll the COVID-19 pandemic is taking on Hoosier lives. The State Department of Health says 2,403 people in Indiana have died from COVID-19. More than 44,000 have been diagnosed with the virus, and more than 450,000 people have been tested with a 9.7% testing positive. The greatest spectacle in racing is only delayed. It's also downsized. We learned today Indy 500 fans will be limited to about 50% capacity when the race runs on August 23rd. Indianapolis Motor Speedway President Doug Bowles says additional health and safety measures will be considered. IMS will unveil those measures in the coming weeks. In late March, the Indianapolis 500 was postponed to August because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
9 people have drowned in Indiana in the past 12 days, and several of those drownings happened while people were swimming in local waterways. Our Alyssa Donovan explains what officials want you to do to stay safe around water this summer.
Accidents on lakes and rivers can happen when you're swimming or boating, which is why it's so important to have a plan before you even head out on the waterways. Planning ahead and knowing what hazards you might encounter is critical when it comes to water safety. If you're kayaking or tubing, make sure you have the proper protective equipment. Wearing PFDs or life jackets is critical. As for swimming, be sure you're competent with the natural environment. It's not quite the same as when you're in your backyard pool. You need to keep an eye out for currents and waves and underwater obstructions.
We want people to know where they're going, plan their routes ahead of time, and then wear the PFDs. That is one of the biggest things you can do to keep yourself safe is wear those life jackets and make sure everybody in the group has one, regardless of your swim level.
While boating and hanging out at the lake is often associated with alcohol, law enforcement says you really need to limit your consumption when you're around water, especially when driving a boat. The same rules apply on the road as they do on the water when it comes to drunk driving. I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
The artwork may be temporary, but it is sending a strong message while it's here. Next, how this artist is turning boarded up windows downtown into a call for action.
Big money at Menards.
This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
The ACLU of Indiana is suing another city over the use of tear gas and other chemicals by police on protesters. The ACLU says the Fort Wayne Police Department violated the constitutional rights of demonstrators when it used chemical irritants to disperse protesters in late May and early June. The federal lawsuit is similar to the one the ACLU filed against the city of Indianapolis last week. Murals like this are becoming common sights in downtown Indianapolis. The boards covering windows that were damaged by rioters that broke away from peaceful protests now carry a message. That painting was the first piece to be displayed publicly by the artist. But as our Cameron Riddle tells us, he brings decades of wisdom to his work.
In downtown Indianapolis, the wood boards covering the windows of dozens of downtown businesses are here to stay, at least for a while. Terry K. Wilson is among the artists beautifying downtown with hand-painted murals. The artwork created by Wilson is a sign of the times.
It's a sorry thing, actually, but I wanted to pay homage to these young men that have lost their life over little or nothing, as you see.
This work is a milestone worth celebrating for an artist who never had his work displayed in his own hometown. The paintings of Trayvon Martin and George Floyd are actually Wilson's first creations to be commissioned for display in Indianapolis. But the message in the window is nothing to smile about.
No, it's not anything to smile about. Actually, it's a message in each one. I'm sending out a message that just because we're walking down the street doesn't mean we're trying to rob some place or kill anybody. That's the message I'm trying to do and make it so it's safe for young black men to walk down the street without being in fear of their life.
At 62 years old, this artist is using his talents to amplify the call for change while pointing out that the issues he's seeing at 62 are the same issues he witnessed at 26.
I don't see a big change in that 62 years. I don't see a big change, and I've went through plenty of situations that these men have gone through and got out by the skin of my teeth. So I know the experience and I know the fear, so I don't see a change in the near future.
In Indianapolis, Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
Well, painting is Wilson's full-time job. His artwork is available for sale online. He says over the next few days, he will be painting more murals throughout the city, including one of Dre'Jon Reed, who was shot and killed by an IMPD officer during a chase last month. Many people are struggling in different ways because of the pandemic, but today they got some much-needed help at a drive-through resource fair in Indianapolis. Tables and booths were set up in the parking lot at Martin University from 2 to 5. They offered free face coverings, school supplies, health screenings, food, counseling information, and much more.
Milk, Pampers, and wipes, the big bag of chicken nuggets for the kids, and the bacon. You know, all that. All of it's a blessing. These people's out here don't have food today, and this is a really blessing for everyone.
Organizers say the resource fair was the perfect way to show people that city and community services are still available during these rough times. Still ahead here, a big week coming up for the U.S. Supreme Court, and what they decide could have a big impact on your life. We do have that story coming up. Kevin.
And the severe weather threat increases as you go north in the state tonight, especially north of the Lafayette to Marion line. We'll talk about what's ahead for tomorrow as well.
Made right in America.
Welcome back. Life stands to change for a lot of people in the United States, depending on how the Supreme Court rules next week. Scholarships, voting, abortion rights, and whether the president must turn over his tax returns are all still to be decided. Joe St. George shows you how the rulings will affect your family.
It's quiet right now on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court in Washington, D.C., but that will change next week. Major rulings are anticipated as early as Monday morning. Expected case number 1, changes to the separation of church and state. Well, this case is out of Montana, which bans in its constitution public aid to religious schools. Similar bans exist in 38 states. The Supreme Court ruling could allow students in religious schools the ability to seek private scholarships funded through state income tax credits. Expected case number 2, changes to abortion rights. This case is out of Louisiana and challenges a law that says abortion providers must have admitting privileges in hospitals. Abortion rights supporters say this will close clinics because not all providers work with hospitals. Expected case number 3, this one is out of Colorado, and it asks, can state electors to the Electoral College vote for whomever they want? Per tradition, these electors vote for the presidential candidate with the most votes in the state, but some say that doesn't have to be the case. And finally, expected case number 4, does President Trump need to turn over his tax returns when subpoenaed? It could open the president up to new controversy prior to the election. Opinions are set to be issued on Monday and Tuesday of next week, although the court won't tell us which days they're issuing exact rulings. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Well, I can tell you we've got a daily chance for thunderstorms in the forecast. Humidity is going nowhere. You feel that. Big change from yesterday. The warm front that came through this morning generated a couple of showers and thunder showers, but we're dry this evening. Should be a good-looking sunset, a little haze in the air as we look to the west over White River toward the Indianapolis Zoo. To the north, that's where the severe weather watch, a thunderstorm watch, is in effect for western portions of Illinois, eastern Iowa, and then northern Illinois. This area of development in southern portions of the state has the best chances it slides to the east of reaching northwest Indiana. Then I think overnight we'll see that drop to the south, but also continue to lose strength and weaken. We have lots of sunshine and steamy temperatures now. Midnight, there's the line of thunderstorms to the north. You can see it thinning out. 7 a.m. This is what's left. Thunderstorm just northwest of Lafayette. But I want to show you between 1 o'clock tomorrow and 4 o'clock, the blossoming of thunderstorms. Then from 4 to 7, a lot more. Almost any thunderstorm that develops will put down some heavy rainfall because of the very high humidity. That wind will be out of the southwest. You could easily get some street flooding with these downpours if you get multiple thunderstorms over the same area. Wind and hail would be the main threats from the strongest storms, along with the flooding, street flooding expected. Of course, it's been very dry in much of the state. Now, I know earlier in the week we had the heavier rains in the eastern portion of Indiana. As far as the temperatures, stuck in the mid-80s because of the cloud cover and the periodic showers and thunderstorms. Overnight low temperatures from now on, really until further notice, will basically be around 70 degrees or a little warmer through the 7-day planner. Temperatures tomorrow with the increasing chance of thunderstorms on a widespread basis during the afternoon hours reach 84. There's the wind strong out of the southwest, keeping the flow of very moist air and warm air into central Indiana. These temperatures are fairly accurate, or what we would expect for this time of year, but also with higher humidity than normal. 7-day planner, a model of consistency. Rain chances do start to diminish by Wednesday. Temperatures do not. They'll stay in the middle to upper 80s with these overnight lows around 70. 7:19 right now. We'll be back with more news right after this.
Keller and Keller. Right now.
A lot of summer activities that would normally be an option now, like concerts and sporting events, are still on pause as the pandemic continues. So you might be thinking about trying different hobbies or forms of entertainment. Our Brad Brown takes us to a local shop that helps customers light a creative fire.
Right now, we could all use a moment of serenity. At Penn and Beach, you can find a little bit of your own comfort one wick at a time.
It's memory and making your space comfortable, ambient lighting. It's warm, cozy.
Brianna Doles opened her shop near the corner of College Avenue and Mass Ave a couple years ago. It all started as a hobby, making candles at home.
Some of my friends were even coming down in the basement and customizing their own scented candles. And we started out with 10 oils. Now we're up to, 100, 120.
Penn Beach features a pour-your-own candle experience. Each guest gets to customize their fragrance, choosing from more than 100 scents.
Scent is a lot of memory. So they'll be like, I want to make mom's favorite perfume. Or I was at this hotel in Chicago and I want to make it smell just like that. That's their favorite part.
A variety of shapes and sizes of candles are available. A fresh pour of soy-based wax sets up in a couple of hours. Penn Beach also offers more than 100 pre-made options. The shops were closed for about 8 weeks this spring, but Brianna says customer demand remains strong.
The community support was amazing. We were having about 20 to 30 orders a day. So we were in the shop fulfilling 2, 3, 4 days a week. That kept us afloat.
And each flicker of the flame can bring a little peace during challenging times.
We had a lot of custom notes on our online orders saying, this is getting me through quarantine. I've learned that when I sit down at the office, I need to create a new space. So they'll light up a candle and it takes them out of their home into a new environment.
Working for you, Brad Brown, RTV6.
Well, it looks like there's no need to feel jittery at the grocery store. The USDA and FDA released a statement saying people can't contract the coronavirus from food or food packaging. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue and FDA Commissioner Stephen Hahn said food producers, processors, and regulators are, quote, taking every necessary precaution to prioritize food safety. The statement adds the U.S. is the global leader in ensuring food products are secure for consumption.
The World Health Organization is working to deliver 2 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccines by the end of 2021. They hope a vaccine will be delivered to people across the globe, with about half of those doses expected to go to low and middle income countries. The new goal is part of a program launched in April that is comprised of 4 pillars focused on COVID-19: tests, treatments, vaccines, and health systems. WHO says only a small portion of the world's population has developed natural immunity to the virus. No vaccine has been developed yet. Do you like the idea of an empty middle seat when you start flying again? Well, don't get used to it. A number of airlines are starting to open up that middle seat. American Airlines is the latest, saying they'll be booking middle seats starting July 1st. Since April, half of them have been blocked in the name of social distancing, but the company expects more people to be flying soon, so those seats will open back up. They'll let you know ahead of time that you are booked next to someone, though. That way you can choose a more open flight if you would like.
Police officers in Secaucus, New Jersey are being hailed as heroes for saving a child from a burning apartment. The officers caught a 4-year-old boy after he had to jump from the 2nd story of the building. Officers were able to get the rest of his family out from inside the smoke-filled apartment. The fire reportedly broke out in a unit on the 1st floor. The police officers also saved a 56-year-old woman who collapsed in her doorway. They immediately rendered first aid.
726, dry and warm in central Indiana. There's the rain probability for tomorrow, which is telling us you've got to plan on getting interrupted if you've got outdoor activities planned. Temperatures in the mid-80s, your Saturday high.
Thank you for making RTV6 your choice for news. Our next newscast is tonight at 11.